Caltrans Career Connections for 2025 for TE Civil with Jacqueline Wong. So I just wanted to go ahead and do a quick little intro. My name is Russell Calvin. I'm Virtual Engagement and Platform Coordinator over here out of headquarters. I've been with Caltrans for about a little over 3 years now. I just reached my 3 years in January. I graduated from CSU Stanislaus with my degree in business entrepreneurship. Um, Random fact about me, like I was telling everyone earlier, I just recently got into running, which I don't know is a good thing. But go ahead, Megan. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I will be introducing our subject matter expert here shortly as well.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Aziz. I am a LinkedIn coordinator liaison working in recruitment, also with Russell. Um, I graduated from California State University, Sacramento, with a degree in anthropology just a few years ago in 2020. And fun fact about me, I would say like the only food I do not like is peanut butter.
See, and I still don't understand that.
No, it's not for me.
Don't get it. So just a quick little housekeeping rule for everybody before we get into introducing our subject matter expert for today. Today's meeting is being live recorded. So it is being recorded for our YouTube channel. So that way, if anybody does need this recording later on, we are able to send it over to you once this is complete. And we will have a Q&A session towards the end. So if you can, please hold off on your questions until the end. So today we are joined by Jacqueline Wong. Jackie has been with Caltrans for over 18 years. She started as a student assistant during the summer after her third year of college at UCLA while studying civil engineering. And then Caltrans wasn't hiring when she graduated, but she was able to be hired on as a permanent intermittent employee until a permanent full-time position became available. Jackie also obtained her master's in construction management from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Her career experience with Caltrans spans mostly construction and materials, with rotations in structures design and geotechnical design, and mostly located between headquarters in Sacramento and District 4. So, Jackie, go ahead and wave hello to everybody. Did we miss anything? You got anything else you wanted to add into your introduction of things?
That's great. And I am not a runner and no longer run.
Did you ever run?
And I do like peanut butter. Once upon a time when it was still cool with my friends, and now we're beyond it. Our knees are done.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. That's it. Now you just eat peanut butter.
I do eat peanut butter still though.
All right, so we're going to do a quick little rundown today. So for our agenda, we'll talk a little bit about the department, who we are, what we do, and the opportunities we offer in transportation engineering. We'll go into a quick little Q&A, and Jackie's going to give us some insight on her position, how she got started. I know we gave a quick little background, but she's going to go into how she got started and then talking about some cool projects she's working on. And we'll also get into some detail regarding the benefits, transportation engineering positions, what makes the transportation engineering job with Caltrans stand out from the private sector, the rotation program. And then we'll also go into how to apply and finish up with a round of Q&A. So like I said earlier, just a few housekeeping rules. Utilize the chat for all of your questions that you have during the session. Megan will be taking a look at the chat box the whole entire time and trying to adjust what she can and giving out some links as we're going on from there. And then we will address a lot of those questions towards the end during our Q&A session. So really quickly, let's go ahead and share this video on who we are.
Career that combines technology, innovation, and a positive impact on the environment and community? Look no further than Caltrans, the California Department of Transportation. Join us as we explore some of the state-of-the-art technologies that we are incorporating into our projects to engineer the future of transportation. Safety is our top priority. We believe that using drones is a game changer in ensuring safer roads for everyone. Surveying hazardous areas, inspecting bridges and tunnels, and assessing road conditions without putting workers at unnecessary risk is a great advantage. Our acquisition of state-of-the-art UAS unmanned aircraft system technology allows us to be in multiple places at once, access high-risk areas safely, and fly instantly from anywhere. We are one of the first departments of transportation in the nation to utilize this equipment. With over 100 trained drone pilots statewide, we are revolutionizing the way we utilize technology, allowing us to make informed decisions that lead to improved safety measures and faster response times. Piloting the use of augmented reality helps us to visualize a new roadway, structure, utility, or feature in the actual dimensional space upon which it will be built. We're work zone ready with well-equipped lighting on hard hats, ensuring the visibility of our field workers is not compromised and giving us the ability to assess work sites at all hours of the day. We aim to provide a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment while honoring our values of engagement, equity, innovation, integrity, and pride. At Caltrans, your career options are limitless. We provide comprehensive job rotation programs, mentorship opportunities, and a supportive work environment that encourages personal and professional growth. Whether you're an aspiring engineer, a tech enthusiast, or a Caltrans has the perfect path to start your career. Do yourself a favor. Come and join us. You would make us better.
All right. So as you guys can see, opportunities are statewide. So working with Caltrans allows for a diversity of opportunities up and down the state of California. Whether you prefer living or working up in Lake Tahoe and Yosemite, down to or in through the redwood rainforest and coastlines such as Big Sur, or some instances out of your own home. Today I'm not at home. I am in office today. But opportunities are definitely there for you worldwide. Megan, how many days are you working in office right now?
I currently go in 2 days a week.
Jackie, where are you at? I know yours is a little bit different, right?
I'm 2 days in the office, but I do wish I could go in more.
I mean, hey, it's about to change in a bit.
Yeah.
So, Caltrans is broken up into 12 different districts. Our department starts from the Oregon border and stretches all the way down to where Mexico begins. So, as you can see on this map right here, we'll start all the way up there by District 1 and 2 and stretch all the way down to District 11 and 12, with District 11 touching the Mexico border. Just quick little poll for everybody. What everybody in there, utilize the chat box real quick. Let's get a feel for what district are you guys looking to be hired in? And let me know what you're seeing, Megan. What districts are you seeing from the group that people are trying to get jobs in?
First one to answer in is D4.
I mean, we're there quite a bit. We are
Yeah.
definitely in D4 quite a bit.
Oh, we have D10. Lots of fours. Lots of fours. I got a couple fives. We're in D4 a lot as well.
So, random fun fact, Caltrans headquarters is in Sacramento, and that's where the three of us do work. We work out of headquarters, and it does have the most employees at over 5,000 workers. That is then followed by District 4, Bay Area, which I did hear, Megan, right? We got a couple of people that are interested in D4.
Yep.
Did you see any D7?
I did. There's one for D7.
So District 4 and District 7 are followed right after headquarters with over 2,500 workers. So those are the other big districts right there.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So our department's mission is to provide a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment. Our vision is a brighter future for all through a world-class transportation network. And some of our goals include leading climate action, which we've been addressing by advancing complete streets and zero emission vehicles, piloting new materials and renewable fuels with which I'll get into some fun stuff with Jackie on the renewable stuff that they're working on, and investigating nature-based solutions along with a multitude of other things. We also aim to advance equity and livability in all communities by adopting many new approaches focusing on collaborative community and partner engagements, measuring impacts to public health and community vibrancy, and on prioritization of investments in historically harmed and segregated communities. So as you guys can see and tell through what I just said, we are very involved in what we can. I know Megan and I myself go and we do definitely reach out to certain groups within our own communities, and just let everybody know like Caltrans is there. We're working on with things with the community and kind of just doing some outreach so that way we can hear what the community is expecting of us. So now I'm gonna turn this over to Jackie, who's gonna discuss some of her time over here with Caltrans. You ready for some questions I got for you, Jackie?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So, what led you to your career in engineering?
Um, so, going back several decades, just maybe like two or so, I was always my parents were very big on math and science, and so it just I don't know if it naturally came to me or it just was embedded in me, but those were the things I was kind of good at, and I did tend towards those types of topics. I feel like a lot of people that go into engineering, and especially like civil or architectural or structural, like you love going to cities and you love looking at high rises. And so that was my thing. I would love like when I went to Chicago, when I went to like New York, just like cool. I want to make high rises. And so kind of just connecting those things. And then I realized I wasn't very artistic either. So I was like, okay, well, how do I kind of keep in that lane, but still, capitalize on what I was good at? And so I think civil engineering was kind of like that middle ground. And so from there, like from high school, I had applied to mostly civil engineering jobs, colleges, some structural. Cal Poly has architectural engineering, so I'm like, oh, okay, there's a little marriage there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole. That's where I threw, I cast my net out. And so civil is where I ended up for at
Mhm.
least my bachelor. But even
S-
within civil, there's so many other subtopics.
Yeah,
So
civil a very big and with that, and that's the crazy thing too, because like you're saying, like, you go to these big cities and you take a look at like these buildings. Like the only thing I ever get, oh, sorry, like I love math also, love science too. But like I got into like, look, that building looks really nice. Like the architect must have spent like the design of the building. Like I don't really ever think about any of the other crazy stuff on it.
yeah, like if I was an architect, I would just build boxes, squares, and so I wouldn't be a very good architect. But I could probably do a lot of calculations and make sure it's really safe. So engineering's the way I went.
Yeah, make sure it'll hold all the weight that it's supposed to
Yeah.
hold. All right. So what made you choose Caltrans?
I'm assuming, unlike most people, I knew someone at Caltrans, and so I had family. And so the summers in between my college years, I'd like, okay, time to get a job, or everyone's looking for internships, and so I kind of threw my name in the hat for Caltrans, and so um, I asked like, hey, how do I apply? And so, hey, there's this website, and you kind of just, throw your name in the hat there. And then like, they knew people in other parts of the department. So um, it was a little odd, but it just, and I know it's hard, but I think, that's kind of how I knew somebody. And so, hey, we hire student assistants. You just need
Yeah.
to apply through this system. And so I did match up with a subdivision that was like kind of close to where my family member was. So I
Mhm.
mean, there was some assistance there. Um, and from there, that's where I started as a student between my third and fourth year at UCLA. So I grew up in Sacramento. So after I finished my school year, I didn't do summer school. I didn't stay in LA. I came back home. And so I was looking for a student assistant position in Sacramento, and that's where I got picked up. And then I
Mhm.
went back to LA to finish my fourth year, and I came back as a student assistant for a little bit until I needed to find a job. And while I was still in LA, I was applying for positions and with some private companies and some public. And
Yeah.
it was tough back then because we didn't have a lot of these virtual things. You would have to go to career fairs and shake hands and hand your resumes out, and you don't know if anyone's doing anything with it. And so
Mhm.
we still applied online back then. This is like 15, 20 years ago. And I just wouldn't hear anything. So like I would apply to these positions and not know what was going on. And so when I was getting ready to graduate, I stayed in contact where I was a student assistant. And I think I was a good student, always volunteering and always saying yes and like, hey, give me tasks and I'll do them. And so I had a good relationship with them. And so when I was ready to
Hmm.
graduate, like, hey, we don't have a position for you right now, but we can hire you on as an hourly. Um, and so I was like, okay, I had a good experience as a student. So I was like, let's jump on as an hourly. I was still working almost full time, just it wasn't like a salaried position.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of how my journey started with Caltrans. It was like
Yes.
student to a permanent
Student assistant.
intermittent, yep, to like an
So you
hourly.
went
And then once a position became available, that's when the Bay Bridge was taking off, all the reconstruction,
the
the
reconstruction for the Bay
1.6
Bridge.
billion dollar San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge that
Yeah.
everyone drives on now. That's when we were building it back in the mid 2000s. And so they were recruiting. And so I was able to find a position there full time. And that's how I jumped from Sacramento to the Bay Area in District
Mhm.
4.
And that's kind of the cool thing, like what you were saying, right? Like you started off as a student assistant, so you went through every level, and at each level you had an opportunity to leave. Like you didn't have to stay in the internship with as a student assistant, but you kind of like stuck with it and you dabbled with, and this will lead me to my next question that I'm going to ask you. You kind of like were applying for jobs, like you said, in the private sector. Um, you just weren't hearing back. You eventually landed on that uh intermittent, the permanent intermittent, which is basically like a seasonal job, or like a part-time position for us until something opened up and you still probably had an opportunity to leave and you just ultimately just kind of like stuck with the state service versus going to private, which is what I wanted to ask leading into it. Like, what do you think sets Caltrans apart from that private sector? Like, what were those factors where you were like, hey, like ultimately, yes, I'm looking at private sector, but Caltrans, I've got a pretty good thing. Like you said, you liked what you were doing and everything like that. Like, what do you think sets it apart?
I think looking back, I was very fortunate to be put in a great office. I was in like structure construction for our engineering services division. That's where I was started as a student. And they were very open. I was still getting paid, and they were very open to like, what do you want to see? What do you want to do? And I was also happy to take on any assignments they wanted me to do. And so I think that was a great way to like get an introduction to Caltrans and having the really great like supervisors that were interested in my learning. And so hey, let's go out to the field. I got to go visit some bridges, and here I am, like some 20-year-old, doesn't know anything. Everyone can tell I'm the new person on the construction site. Um, and so, but it was great. And people were welcoming, like, hey, what else do you want to see? How can we challenge you? Are you interested? And then, so I think from there, there was so much that they were happy to expose me to kind of get a sense of what Caltrans does. And I still don't know everything that Caltrans does to this day, but I think that's what it was. I think it. I wanted to stay, right? There
Yeah.
was no reason. There was no reason. They weren't pushing me away for any reason. There was just so much to learn
Yeah, and
and be interested in.
that kind of that what you're saying right now kind of piggybacks off of our last session that we had last week, which was for student assistants and like internships. And a lot of people think that whenever we're doing the student assistant internships, um, like these kids are just, making copies, getting coffee, doing stuff like that. And it's like, no, like you're out there gaining information to help you grow, and then potentially because we're basically investing in you to hopefully take on a job with us, similar to like what you did, right? Like you were as that student assistant, and like they were helping you grow into your career. So eventually you were like, hey, like I don't really have a reason to leave. Like like the culture is different versus what you would typically get when you go into a private sector, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is a bit of a like, I guess, like matchmaking process to it. And so
Yeah.
I think I was fortunate in having like really great supervisors that were, finding me work that I was interested in as well. And I think that's part of what sets Caltrans apart too. Is like I like to tell people like the Caltrans is your orange oyster. You can find your space somewhere,
Yeah.
and so go
I mean,
explore. And so
we're
if
so
something's
big, right?
yes, and if something's quite not what you're passionate about, right? There's probably something else. And so is there this contribution where you can contribute to some need that we have? And so there's like a bit of a matchmaking process, I think, there, and we kind of are set up in a way to do that
Yeah.
in
And
Caltrans.
so, what projects are you most proud of, or are you currently working like, and are you currently working on, or are you currently working on?
So it's okay. This is a great like transition because I say like it's your orange oyster. Go find your calling. And so
Yeah.
I started in construction, and then as the Bay Bridge was winding down, I was like, okay, what other jobs are out there, right? Because we didn't, we were pretty much wrapping up a lot of the construction work, and so that's when I got into materials. Like, okay, this is interesting, right? It's very related to constructions. We were doing I was doing materials inspection in construction. Now, what does that look like when you have a materials focus? And so then I just kind of the last maybe 8 years really getting into materials. And that's where I work now at our central laboratory in Sacramento. And so this is like a transportation library. And it's very cool because it's like, it reminds me of a college campus sometimes, but very collaborative, right? So you've got like the asphalt folks over here and the concrete folks over there and our chemistry lab, and we're all working together to support projects for the entire state. And so I still had like, the passions for construction and construction support, but then now it opened this whole world of like research and sustainability. And so that's, I think the timing was great because we talk about sustainability and what does that look like, for a transportation network. And materials is a very cool um, uh, industry to be in right now, I think, because we're finding
Uh-huh.
all these ways to like recycle materials and reduce our carbon footprints. And so when you say projects, um, something that we worked on in the last 5 or so years was like adopting lower carbon footprint cements. So your traditional
Yeah.
cement, that's where like, you're burning off a lot of like limestone and you're creating all this CO2 and it's going into the atmosphere. And so, but we still want to build, right? We still need to build infrastructure. And so how do we, there's this trade-off. And so how cool is it that I get to be, right, like a part of this? And so we're trying to help Caltrans make good decisions. And so I get to apply my engineering background and experience of, okay, how do we, make lower carbon, concrete? And so
Yeah.
Portland limestone cement was something we tried to adopt like over the last 5 years. Like, how do we get Caltrans to adopt, right, and use these lower materials? But also some of them are like brand new and we don't know what they are. So we do a little bit of research. We work with universities, which is very cool too, because I used to be in college and I never thought I would be on the other end trying to find people, right, to do research on the things that we need for the state of California and our transportation network. So it's just very neat. Like there's this whole full circle thing here. And I think that's like, you get to work on projects that link up all your experience and your background, and then you're really like making an impact on what like we're doing for like the people of California, really. So, anyways, just one little specific thing there. But yeah, like I could go on. There's all kinds of things we're doing in the material world
I
to
mean,
try to
you
push the sustainability envelope.
like you and I had this discussion before, and like I tell like all the students this honestly whenever I'm on whenever Megan and I are on tour visiting any of the schools up and down the state. It's like we talk about your lab and like the things that we've seen there, and like we have the little aggregate that you gave us, like the little samples of like, what was it, recycled water bottles that are trying to be used as aggregate, um, and like just like random things like to show that Caltrans is like we're making an effort to do things that stretch beyond what the general public sees. And everybody's just kind of like, oh, we didn't really think. I'm like, yeah, no, like those things, like we have a full blown lab where they're doing those things, and it's like it's cool, it's awesome. Like you said, it's like a college campus.
Yeah, and I never really took materials classes when I was in college, right? A lot of my training and exposure happened while I was working for Caltrans, and so and then now, so I say matchmaking, right? We've found a little match, right, where we could contribute.
Yeah.
right, a skill set to a need.
Perfect. So this brings me perfect segue to the last question. What advice would you give to recent or upcoming graduates who are interested in joining Caltrans?
Um, I think there's so many opportunities for you right now, public or private, and so I think if there's any interest in serving California, I think you keep working, right, and finding your way in. At some point, there'll be a type of like a match, right, that gets you to your first job, and maybe it's in Caltrans. And if you excel there, great. And if you do your time in service and maybe you want to pursue other things, or you get exposed to other types of positions that maybe you're more passionate about and you can contribute, like you have that ability. So I think, but it and sometimes it's not, but it doesn't hurt, right, just to kind of get in and
Just to
see what
try it.
this. Yeah, because it's a 20,000 plus organization, right? And so I always think of it as like 20,000 puzzle pieces, right? So maybe
Yeah.
this piece isn't for me, maybe that piece is for me, or and so we're all kind of interconnected, but we all kind of have the same mission, like as you talked about earlier. And so there's so many different ways to contribute. And so, but the thing is, it's one employer, so
Yep.
you have this variety and diversity of career that you can get into, right? But you still have that job security, I think, that goes
hmm
with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's the crazy thing,
so
right? Like same thing with you, right? You started off in District 4, right? You or you start off as a student assistant down in LA. You ended up in District 4 up in the Bay Area. You're back at headquarters. So the ability to kind of have that peace of mind that if life does take you into a relocation, it's a little bit easier for you to be like, okay, let me see what opportunities there are for me while staying within your employer and not losing your tenure, not losing any of that stuff, and just kind of being able to keep it and almost make it a little more streamlined than versus like, hey, I've got to relocate. Now I've got to find a completely new job. I've got to, basically start from the bottom. It's not really like that. So that is, like you were saying, it's kind of the benefit of state service.
yeah, and I don't know if you're going to get into rotation program, but I think we mentioned I did
I
do my
will.
rotations,
Yep.
and like, so I was in. I talk about making matchmaking. I went into structured design, and I was like, this was a great experience. Now I understand how designers think when I'm in
hmm
construction, but also this is not for me. So
Yep.
thank you
And
very much. Finished my rotation, and then I got to pick an elective. It's like, hey, geotech, right? Like,
yep.
let's talk
I'll
about
have you
foundations
go.
and dirt.
I'll have you go into that more in a
Okay,
bit,
all
Jackie. Let me
right.
let me get over to that one real quick because I don't want you to lose your train of thought until we get to that one real quick. So let me just go over a couple of other things for us, and then we'll get into that rotation program.
Awesome.
Um, so a couple things for us that I want to go over is after Jackie was talking about our culture and everything like that. Like what do we offer? At the end of the day, that's going to be some questions that everybody's going to ask, right? Like what do we offer? We do offer the medical, dental, vision, a retirement with a 401k and a pension, a positive community impact, which is something like Megan and I were saying, we're always out in the communities, a really good work-life balance. I can honestly vouch for that. That's probably my favorite thing ever right there with the work-life balance. Flexible work schedules, and then career development, mentorships, leadership training, and rotation programs, which piggybacking off of what Jackie was saying, the rotation program. One of the things that makes our engineering division highly unique is the rotation program that we offer. So all new engineers are rotated through project delivery, working in construction and design units with the option of one elective unit that's listed right here in this little slide. Um, but do note that like not all of these electives are offered in each district, so it is a little bit district dependent. Um, so before I let Jackie kind of go into it, let's utilize the chat real quick and let's see which division do you think has the most employees? Is it maintenance, engineering, or admin? Let me know what you're thinking, Megan, or you see in there, Megan. Which division does the chat think has the most employees? Maintenance, engineering, or admin? Jackie, do you know the answer to this?
Maintenance? I think it's maintenance.
You going with maintenance?
Are you sure? So far, it's 50-50 maintenance. Oh, wait, now everyone's saying maintenance.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to sway it this way.
We got a
I
couple
told you, I've been here for
engineering.
18 plus years, but always learning about who we are in Caltrans.
Yeah, a
Alright.
couple engineering and then mostly maintenance.
Mostly maintenance. All right.
Mhm.
So the correct answer is engineering. So engineering, out of almost like 21,000 employees department wide, engineering takes up about 8,000. So 8,000 engineers, and then it's followed by maintenance. Right after that, it is followed by maintenance. So
Funny, the better engineering you have, maybe the less maintenance you need. Maybe I don't know. Trade-off.
so let's go into that, right, Jackie? You talked about the rotation program, right? You said you did your project delivery with construction and design, and it wasn't necessarily for you, right? What led to your elective? So you said you picked GI. What did you pick for?
So I started in construction. So as a default, everyone has to go through construction and design at some point. So since I started in construction, I had to do design. That one was mandatory. And then you get to pick an elective. And so for my elective, I had chose geotech. So I ended up in a
Okay.
geotech design group.
So how did this rotation program really make that impact for you? Like, you're going through this because I would assume in the private sector, and based off of what I'm told from a lot of other people, private sector doesn't really offer this, right? Like you're expected to come in knowing what it is you want to do. How does this how did this really impact your decision as a student? And then piggybacking off of that, I would assume you have new engineers that you supervise. How does that what is your approach to those new engineers coming in?
If I were to think back, I don't think the rotation program is something that I was sold on. So that I wouldn't say that was a reason that wasn't a reason why I joined Caltrans, because I think I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and so I was
Mhm.
like, okay, cool, whatever, I'll go.
But
And I think,
like what did it do when you were in when you were in the program?
and in hindsight, I think it was like the best thing that we could do as Caltrans, because it gives you so much perspective. So even if you don't want to be crunching numbers software, doing design work, right? You develop this appreciation for those that do when you're in construction, right? So it made me such a better engineer, whether I was in construction or materials, because I've had that I've sat in those, in that seat
Seats.
in design. I understand what their challenges are and what they're trying to do for me, so that I can, so it helped me, I think, do my job better, to kind of work with designers, and so better collaborating, and even better collaboration. And even my elective, which I chose geotech, it's the same thing, right? These are parts of the project delivery process, right? From birth to last stone laid.
Mhm.
There's all these parts, and so the more you get exposure to, you understand like this big picture, and you can be a good partner, right? So it's not this like adversarial design versus construction versus maintenance. And same thing, like I wish I went to maintenance, because then I can see what their challenges are, and maybe I can do better in construction, or maybe design something better. So
Mhm.
I think it does you so well in your professional development and career to get exposure to these other parts of Caltrans. Um,
Mhm.
so I think, yeah, that in hindsight, it's such a great thing to do in your
Yes.
career.
So then as someone who oversees employees now, right? So you're a supervisor. How does this take into effect for you? Like, do you take in new employees and then they're just like, hey, like this is a part of my rotation, like I'm working with you? Like, how does that look now on the opposite end? Because you went through it as an employee, getting through it. Now you're supervising it.
Yeah. So
What
materials engineering and testing services, which is my subdivision, we are technically an elective. So people who choose us, I'm like, even better, you chose us. We weren't even mandatory. But even within like our subdivision, right? It's just not testing. We do a lot of field work. We're doing inspection at like fabrication facilities. We've got weld inspectors. We're at precast plants, and doing a lot of just materials management in general and quality management. And so when we get rotators into our subdivision, right, we want to cater that experience to their interests. So some people are like,
Hmm.
hey, I really like your steel testing lab. Like, is there a way to, so we'll figure something out, right? Let's break up your rotation and give you some time in the steel testing lab, and then maybe you want to go see fabrication facilities, right? And so maybe they came from design, and it makes them a better designer because they understand, right, shop drawings and how steel gets fabricated. And so it's just all these little puzzle pieces of our project delivery process that you're
Hmm.
getting exposure to. And so I think it's great. It's hard to lose employees to rotation, but knowing that they're going to come back, in a better position with so much more knowledge to contribute to Caltrans.
Hmm.
So there's this like a balance, right, of people going and people coming. But I think it's good. It gives people a taste of what everything else
What
Caltrans
everything.
does.
Cool.
And maybe they
Uh,
find a new home. I've had rotators that are like, hey, can I stay here? Okay, well,
can you
find a
stay there?
position and you can apply. And then we've also lost some, right? Like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
love construction. Like, go spread your wings and
Yeah.
go
Go.
become a
Like,
construction
it's
engineer.
fine. It's fine. I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, right? So the ability to kind of progress, right? Like you were saying, like in just kind of forward movement and everything like that. Um, this kind of shows us our ranges, right? So you would come in at the start, a range A with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering or an EIT, and then you can continue to keep going and then potentially move into a different unit, right? Move into construction, move into design, and just help progress your career and your future, or you can stay, and then you can increase into a range B with 1 year of experience at a range A or 2 years experience in the bachelor's degree. Something that I think sets us a little bit apart is when you get to that range D and you get your PE, right? I was told, and maybe you can confirm this, Jackie, that Caltrans will help you with some resources to get your PE. Is that did
Yes,
you
I think
did you go
that's
through
still a
that?
true story. And then I also got like assistance. So just reimbursement for study
Okay.
materials and coursework, up to a certain amount. But yeah, I took advantage of that too when I was studying for my PE,
So they
and
will
the exam itself. Yep.
definitely do a reimbursement and everything like that for the exam and whatever costs to
Yeah,
get
up
your
to a
PE.
certain amount. But yeah, I think I took advantage of everything that I could have, in terms of, yeah, getting some of the costs associated with getting licensed reimbursed.
Yeah, and I think that's like a big thing, right? So not like we said, not everybody's gonna offer that. Not every company is going to offer some type of reimbursement or support in order for you to get to your professional engineer's license. They're more just like, hey, you get it, cool, we'll give you a pay bump if they do. But for the most part, like this goes to show that we will help you grow through it. So when applying to us, we call it the 3-step process. We like to try to simplify it as much as possible, but I know Megan's going to go ahead and drop a link down in the chat to help you guys out with a little bit on a website that we created to walk you through it. But in a sense, you would create an account on calcareers.ca.gov. You would take the transportation engineer civil exam, and then you would apply for jobs. Uh, that's the simplified version. Megan is gonna drop a link for the complex version or to walk you through it because it'll give you guys some tips and tricks on uh, filling out the application, making sure your statement of qualifications are done right, and certain things like that. So that way you can ensure that you are putting your best foot forward and getting you guys there. So last question I have for you guys today before we go into our Q&A is Caltrans bridge inspectors are responsible for maintaining the safety and integrity of bridges owned by the state of California and local government agencies like the Bay Bridge that Jackie worked on. How many bridges do you think this encompasses? Like, how many bridges do you guys think Caltrans is in charge of? And just a hint, it's more than 10,000, but less than 50,000. So, how many bridges do you think we're in charge of? More than 10,000, less than 50,000. This one still kind of surprised me because I didn't realize we had this many bridges in California.
That's our jobs that you don't even notice all the bridges that you cross
Like
to get from
I
point A to
don't
point
notice
B.
Yeah.
Anytime we're going over the freeway or under or the highways, there's your traditional ones over the water.
So it's kind of crazy. What are you seeing, Megan? What do we got for?
We don't have any guesses just yet. So, okay, we got one.
Between
They're
10 and
coming in.
50.
They're
It's
coming in.
between 10 and 50.
Sorry, how many
10,000
bridges do
and
we have in
50,000
California between
that
10,000
we're
and
in charge of.
50? Yeah.
That we're in charge of. Sorry, not
All
like
right.
just in California, but that we are in charge of.
They're coming in. We got a 40,000, 47,000. We got 30, 33, couple 30s. Somebody guessed 1,300. They're lowballing it.
1,300, 13,000.
Sorry, 13,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the answer for that is 26,000. So right basically in the middle of that. So
Yeah.
26,000 bridges is what California, state of California, our bridge inspectors are in charge of. So with that one, I will go ahead and open this up to the Q&A session. So Megan, go ahead and do me a favor, start compiling up that list that you've got there and fire away.
Yeah. So everybody start throwing in your questions. I'll get to them in a second. We had a question earlier kind of about the application process.
What do you got?
About how it works with our districts. So, do we have to submit a separate application form if you want to apply for different districts?
Yes. So what it is each job application that you submit is job specific. So when you read the job application, it'll kind of tell you like, hey, you are looking to apply for this position in this district. So it's going to be very specific to that. Now, you would even need to submit a new application if it was like another transportation engineering position within that same exact district. It just might be in a different department. So I would just suggest that if you see a position, regardless of the district, if you just see it and it has a different JC number on there or job code number, apply there because it's going to be a different position for you to kind of apply to and get your name in the hat for those things. But yeah, it'll be a different one.
Hmm. Okay, and then if somebody needs help filling out an application form, who should they reach out to?
So if you need help with any type of application forms, you're going to want to reach out to our Ask Recruitment team. So the email is going to be askrecruitment@dot.ca.gov. That is going to be a direct line to Megan and I's team. But other than that, Megan, also you dropped the
Career Compass
compass.
Guide I did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that career compass guide that Megan dropped into the box down over there, that one will also give you kind of like some walkthroughs on like, hey, this is what the application, what we should kind of help you guys out. Because I know sometimes you guys are applying when we're closed. So if you need some help in the moment, we created that resource for you guys to have.
Got it. Yeah, I went ahead and put our email in the box as well. Um, so somebody's asking, for minimum qualifications, what does a master's in transportation get them? Would that meet minimum qualifications?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because the main thing for us would be that we would need the engineering aspect of it. So, and those engineering courses. So, you know, certain other positions will have like transportation planning, city and urban planning, stuff like that. That wouldn't necessarily qualify you for transportation engineer civil, but it would qualify you for potentially a transportation planner on our end, depending on the coursework that that person took. So I will say no to the transportation engineer, but potentially yes to being within Caltrans as a company, because we are obviously more than just engineers. My degree is in business. Megan, yours is in anthropology? Yeah,
Anthropology. Hmm.
anthropology, yeah.
Hmm.
And then, of course, Jackie, yours is in engineering.
Civil, but yeah, I do think I think it kind of depends what the bachelor is too.
Yep, what the bachelor is too.
Yeah, but I think
good point.
there's very traditional degrees, but I think there's a lot of gray space in terms of like, what hurdles to go to
Yeah.
cross for all the kind of like, ones that aren't as typical. But I think it's just a matter of probably reaching out and then knowing everyone's specific situation.
Yep. What the bachelor's, you are correct. I should have asked that one also. So depending on the bachelor's is going to be a big factor right there.
I also did plug in the transportation engineer civil minimum qualifications in the link if you guys would like to look at that as well. Yeah. Okay, so then we're going to move on to some really good questions.
Piggybacking off that, if you have a question, want to make sure that your degree where it's at, I would reach out to ask exams at dot.ta.gov. Because I'll kind of be able to help out a little bit because they have to take the test as well. Because potentially they could have to take that hurdle exam on dependent on their degree. So if they reach out to our exams department first, they'll be able to kind of place them properly.
Yeah, so it's probably not a no, just a little bit of more homework to do to see.
Rerouting.
Yeah, reroute.
So somebody said, I'm a mechanical engineering graduate student. I'm a bit interested in maintenance, but I want to know if it's exclusive to civil engineering or not.
I think we do have mechanical engineers in our maintenance groups divisions.
We do have that's what I was gonna say. Like I was trying to figure out how to like word it right. Like, we do have mechanical engineer. Like I just posted up a mechanical engineer job right before we got on this call, like right before we did this. We do have mechanical engineers within our maintenance division. I just don't know how often they pop up.
It's not as common.
It's not as common.
There are mechanical engineering positions across all of Caltrans in different divisions. It's just not the predominant one.
Not predominant. So there definitely is an opportunity for it. We do have it. It's just not as frequent as dominant as the civil engineering. So I won't say that it's exclusive to civil engineering.
Very true. And then I'm gonna shoot this one towards you, Russell. It's regarding student assistance. And so they're asking if we do summer internships for grad students, and two-parter, what is there anything for international students seeking to get work visa through a student assistant?
So summer internship wise, let's our student assistant positions are more of a part-time job. So we don't necessarily have like, hey, just these months. Because we like to utilize our student assistants and let them learn throughout the whole entire year. So summer internship specific wise, not necessarily. However, with our student assistant position, you can work as little as you need to during the school year and bump up your hours when you're not in session. That way, it kind of opens you up a lot more while maintaining the position. In order to qualify for that, in terms of because you were saying they're a grad student, right? You just need to be enrolled in 6 semester units and have a 2.0 GPA. So if you have meet those two criteria, and let's say you're a first year grad student going into your second year towards your master's program, and you can prove that you're still enrolled in school, we can definitely take you on for that, as long as you can prove that you do still qualify for the student assistant position. And for more questions on the student assistant, you can definitely reach out to us at Recruitment. Now, the second part you had was international students, right?
Correct.
So international students are able to work for us with the student assistant position. So international students would just need to apply for the position. They would need a work visa, I do believe, but it is through UEI. UEI runs it, or University Enterprise Inc. So international students can work for us as a student assistant position, but any other international work visa related questions, you guys can reach out to luisa.lozano@dot.ca.gov, and she is our specialist on this situation, because everybody is a case by case basis. So let me put her
I'm finding it, Russell.
I got you. Just want to make sure I spelled her name right. Cool. So I just dropped her email in there. So if you guys have any other questions about visas and work visas and stuff like that for international, that's right there for you.
Got it. Okay, and then do we have time for a couple more questions?
Yeah, we got time for about, let me see here, 2 more. Let's do 2 more.
Awesome. Okay. So they were saying they're interested in rail and mass transportation elective. Can we provide any more information on that?
Do you have anything on that, Jackie? Rail and mass
Yeah,
transportation?
typically each like program manages their own rotations within like divisions. So like for engineering services, like I wouldn't have like access to rail and mass transit. And so it kind of just depends what division you end up. So like if you pick if you're in the district, like a district employee, say 3 or 4, you kind of go within district 3 or 4, you know, based on where you are. So rail and mass transit, they probably are part of some other I think they're a headquarter unit mostly. And so back to like it's not typically standard, but back to right, there may be a redirect or rerouting of, hey, that's the one I want to rotate through. It's kind of just trying to find a match, right? Hey, can they take, you know, speaking with your supervisor, you know, and hey, I want to go here. Is there a possibility to do kind of an exchange, right? Somehow for a rotation. So it is not typical, but I wouldn't say it's never been done.
Yeah, and what I would say is like for the person that's interested in that rail and mass transit transportation like elective, shoot us an email at the Ask Recruitment, and then we'll see if we can possibly link that person up to somebody with a little more insight on that. Sorry, we don't have all the information on that one for you, but
The electives can be so broad that
the electives can be
yeah.
tough.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
All
and
right.
then last question, we're gonna talk about the civil engineering exam. Is
Okay.
it specifically designed by Caltrans? What's the procedure to take the test? And when's the last date they could take the exam?
Okay. So I'll chime in on it, and then I'll let Jack. I'll ask Jackie a question to kind of chime in on it. Um, don't think of the exam as like how many pounds does this building need to like hold? I don't know. I can't even speak in civil engineering. Sorry. Like I
I think
don't
it was, from what I remember, it's more qualitative.
exactly. So the exams are more self-assessment. They're nothing to stress about. It's just like, do you have a degree in civil engineering to kind of meet the minimum qualifications? Have you worked in a field for long enough? You know, did you do that? They're very simple self-assessment questions, not necessarily an exam that you need to study for, like studying for an EIT or FE or anything like that. Like it's none of that. Um, Now, if you wanted to go study and take those exams, you could, but the Caltrans exam in itself is nothing like that. It's just a self-assessment. Um, Nothing to stress about, nothing to lose sleep over, really at all. I think that like does that pretty much cover what they were saying? Jackie, you don't remember like it wasn't anything crazy, right?
I actually do. I like literally, I was in like the UCLA computer lab, and I was just like, oh, I guess I'm going to do my civil exam for Caltrans right now, and just like knocked it out, and I was like, okay, that's it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like yeah, it was a lot. It was more of a self-assessment. It
And
wasn't something you had to
you got
study
your
for or
results back.
anything.
You got your results back what, like couple
I think it
minutes?
was pretty quick. It was
Yeah,
pretty quick.
typically you
Yeah.
get them back
So
for that exam. It's 5 minutes, maybe 10. You might. I'll
Mhm.
say give us an hour just in case the system gets down. But
yeah.
you get your results back right away, and it pretty much just lets you know, like, hey, you passed the exam, you're eligible. And whenever you're filling out the applications, they'll ask you, do you have eligibility? That self-assessment exam is how you gain your eligibility. So they'll tell you, hey, you passed the exam. Then you click on the box that says, I do have eligibility because you passed the self-assessment, and you just start applying. Honestly, like
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
And I went
Yeah,
ahead and put that exam link in the chat and double checked the exam board. It's open on a continuous basis.
cool. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. That's all we have for today. So I just want to go ahead and thank you, Jackie, for joining us one more time. So helpful. Nice seeing you
Thank you.
again. I know it's been a few years, or something like
Everyone,
that.
just apply if you're interested. You'll find where you want to land, your landing
Yeah.
spot.
Yep, cool. And with that, you guys are all good to go. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one. And if you guys have any other questions, please reach out to us at askrecruitment@dot.ca.gov. Cool. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.